Innovative content. Global audience.
Everyone, and good afternoon to you. This is SRTV Abuja, and today is yet another beautiful day. Welcome to Farming Forum. I am Joy Ubem, and I'll be your host on the show today. Farming Forum is that program where we talk about farming, agriculture, everything that has to do with farming, the various types of farming. Is it livestock? Is it mixed cropping? Or whatever it is. The business of farming, the issues that come up with farming, the goods, the bad, the advantages, the disadvantages, and all that is there to be enjoyed in farming. That's what this show is all about. And please stay with us and enjoy yourself because the show will be very, very interesting. And today on the show, our topic for today is the business of farming. You all will agree with me that in Nigeria in the past, we used to farm. Yes, cash crops. We made a lot of money from cash crops, but with time, when money started coming from petroleum, most people withdrew and stopped farming. But today, with the turn of events, we are gradually going back to farming. And so we have decided to focus on the business of farming today. And to handle this topic with me is a farmer who is here in the studio with us, and his name is Mr. Samuel Yakubu. Mr. Samuel Yakubu, welcome to Farming Forum.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. How do you feel being in the show with me this afternoon?
Oh, very beautiful. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. We'll just have to begin right away. Mr. Samuel Yakubu, you are a farmer. Yes, I know you are a farmer.
Yes.
What kind of farming are you into?
Yes, I am into crop development and livestock farming.
Okay, crop development, livestock farming.
Yeah.
What crops?
Yes, I farm beans, I farm yam and egusi. Those are the things I'm into.
Okay, then the livestock.
The livestock, yes, I raise pigs.
Okay, pigs.
Yes.
And how is it going?
Very beautiful. I must be sincere to you. It's been a good development since I started farming. Been a lot of gain, interest. It's a very welcome development.
How long have you been doing it?
About 15 years ago, I started farming.
Okay, you started farming over 15 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
What prompted you into farming? Were you working before you just started farming? What prompted that?
Yes, after my secondary school days, I decided to go into farming.
Just like that?
Just like that, because there is a lot of interest in farming when you're doing farm business. There was no much capital though to start farming, but the little I had then, I started farming, and through the farming, I am a graduate today, and I've raised family through the farming, and I'm living good. I'm living a good life as I'm farming. The interest of farming, like, is a whole lot. I'm better than most of these government workers that come out today to tell me that they are working with the federal government, because I farm cash crops, I do livestock. So I'm living good, and my children are doing good.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you are saying in essence is that there's a lot in farming, you're gaining a lot, and you have achieved so much from farming.
Yes, I've achieved a lot in farming, and I'm still achieving, because as I speak with you, I'm still farming, and I'm achieving a lot.
Okay. But Nigerians' economy, in essence, it doesn't have any effect on your farming because most business people have a story to tell right now that the situation in the country doesn't favor their business. But are you saying for farming, there's no problem, things are still going normal, your sales and everything is moving on well? Throw more light on that.
Yes, like some of these, and in closest society, I do advise people that are close to me to come back to farming. If you're on direct farming system, you will have nothing to complain about Nigerian economy these days. Nigerian economy actually, like we have seen, the economy is harsh. The depreciation of naira rates at the international market probably as a result of some of the economic activities are not working well has to do with the reason why some people are not living good life these days. But the farmers, I must tell it to you that if you are into farming, you're living good life because when Nigerians were into farming before the introduction of oil, all those and that, if you can remember, dollar rate, then it was pound rate and dollar. Naira was valuable then until we decided, some of us and the leaders who had the opportunity to bring in investors on petroleum, and we all left farming. These days, people are going back to farming. Like I'm advising my friends to come back to farming because in farming, we don't lose. It's unlike every other business where you can actually invest and you lose even the capital. In farming system is not like that. In farming system, you invest, you don't lose. You either not gain, but you don't lose. So this is the perspective that I want people to look at farming from. It's not that, so there are some of my friends who will say, what will I be doing in farming system after my educational background, my what I acquire at my higher institution? I personally, I study peace studies and conflict resolution, and I have resolved at farming because I have learned actually in my higher institution on how to relate with people. But to sustain life as a whole, farming is the best. And I kept on telling people to come back to farming because we cannot lose. And I have times I can analyze to you whatever kind of farming you want to go into. I will tell you on how the basis you should start with. Unlike some of my friends who will just jump from the government work they are doing, they will say, oh, let me start rearing chickens. You know, as a beginner, you don't have experience. Some of them have money to go and buy chickens to start doing something. My friend, like I said, my friend went and bought chickens because he had money to buy plenty chickens, the little chickens, to rear them. When he started, I told him, you're not supposed to buy this much number of chickens. He said he has money to take care of them. It was along the line, the feed began. When the chicken were growing, the expenses was increasing. He was unable to meet up with the expenses while taking care of his family. I had him, he complained to me. He said, wow, my children have not eaten good food. Chickens are demanding for more food. I said, I told you, you don't start business like this. This is farming. And you're into livestock. They eat every day. So looking at some of these things, my people lack experience in farming. And again, some people who were peasant farmers in the village before they got to town, they feel reluctant going back to farm because of the way and manner which they approach farming then. And farming is not like that. If you really want to achieve from farming, you give all of your time, you calculate, you use relationship, like I said, you relate with people. There are vast people with much experience in different areas of farming. And the soil also determine the environment, determine the kind of farming you go into. Maybe the environment you are is not good for rearing chicken. Maybe you need to go and you rear some other animals, such as goats, the cows, and some other things. Then the environment there will be fit for cow. You go and start rearing chicken in the environment, you will not get it right. So some of these things, some people at a point, there are people who farm granules. Now, you travel to South. They are not good. They cannot farm good groundnut because maybe as a result of their oil, their soil.
Oil, yes.
Now, somebody in South because he has a friend in Abuja or Kano who is doing well farming groundnut, will equally go and start farming groundnut in the South. By the time he don't get that result, he will start complaining. He will say farming is not good. Now, some of us need to come back to the drawing board. Like we are discussing on daily basis. We are calling on the federal government to come back, encourage these farmers, talk to these farmers. There are various ways to approach these farmers, and they will do better. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for that. I want to take you back. You
Okay.
said you can never. I
Yes.
don't know how that is possible because you can crops like excess water while some don't like. So it may not favor the crop. That is one. Then the situation in Nigeria today, okay, you just talked about your friend. Poultry farmers are crying. The price of feeds are going up. So I don't know how a poultry farmer will be able to make it. If especially people. But then the security situation in the country. Some people have abandoned their farms halfway. You are saying there's no way you will lose. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Is
Yeah.
it possible for you not to lose in farming?
Yes, it's very possible. This is how you go about it. Like in the case of raising crops. Actually there are challenges these days because of the terrorists all over the country. That some farmers hardly go to farm. What we do, we organize group farming where we have a group of people that goes to farm, and when cultivating, be sure of the crop you're about to cultivate and the little capital you have at the moment to start your cultivation. You're to manage the capital in division. There are divisions of labor. You don't just go and start large farm because you have the capital at that moment. You divide the capital you have into three sections: the planting, the maintenance, and the harvest. These are the things you think of when you're about to raise crops. You don't just have 100,000 naira. You don't go and do that 100,000 naira into three sections are how you go about. You take first section for plantation. You make sure that the expenses for the first section does not exceed the third quarter you've divided. Now, the second section is for maintenance of the crops, the weeding, the fertilizing, and some other things. Now, the third section of the remaining money is for harvest. Because if you don't harvest, it's as good as you did not farm. And harvest also demand expenses. Like farming egusi, for instance. You're to go to farm, you do your ridges. If you have 100,000 naira, you divide it 32,000 there about. You take your 32,000 naira to farm. You tell the people the portion of the farm you're to farm. They will do it for you at the rate of possibly 20,000 naira. Then you have the rest of the 12,000 naira to give the people that will assist you in planting the egusi in the farm. Now, as the egusi is growing, you have to weed it. You go back again to the second section, which is another 32,000 naira that is available for you. You take 20,000 naira there, or let's say 15,000 naira for the first weeding. So you're weeding egusi twice before it will start producing. The first weeding, you go with 15,000 naira. The second weeding, you go with another 15,000 naira. You see that the egusi will manufacture, will produce good fruit. Now, the harvest again, you come up with another 32,000 naira to pay the people that will go and stock the egusi for removal and possibly dry it before coming to consumption. Now, you cannot store the egusi the way it is produced in the fruit inside farm. You have to stock it, remove it from the fruit, then dry it and store it. So those processes, when you have little capital, you divide them in sections. But most people make mistake these days using their whole capital for planting, then maintenance will be left, and again, harvest will be left. So when you don't get the 3 sections like that, you miss it, you lose. In the case, like I said before, in the case of insecurity, you organize group farming, where a day that you go to farm, you'll be more than 5 people in number. Then the kidnappers will be, some of them will be afraid to come to the farm because you're not alone. But if you visit the farm and you go there alone, it is easy for any terrorist to attack you.
Right, but 5 is still small now, because we hear of them packing up to that number from farm, even here in Abuja.
Yes.
I think last year.
Yes, it has actually reduced the level of farming from peasant farmers.
Okay.
Not for people that do it for business. And what we are discussing here is business of farming.
Yes.
Like I said before, I'm a business farmer. I do farming, I call people to farm for me. I do contract works on farming.
Okay.
That is what I do. So coming to the area of livestock, what I do in my own is raising of pigs. So now, what I do is to come back, I get the capital available, I go for the young piglet, the young pigs. I have number in target. I don't go above what I have, because I know that the pigs will, okay?
You know the calculation you made, you said 32,000, that's 96,000.
Yes.
And that 96,000, how much do you think, or will such a person realize at the end of the day?
Yes, it depends on the time you're selling out your goods.
Okay.
The selling interest depends on the season that you're selling out the goods. Like in that egusi, the period you're harvesting egusi should be from July, August, and September. Now, if you're selling egusi at July, August, and September, the interest is not much because the production is everywhere at that moment. But if you're storing it so that the time frame will be extended to maybe possibly the next season before plantation.
Okay, just before planting.
Yes.
That means October now, if you see the price will still be
still
okay.
low.
Okay.
Then if you're selling it at maybe possibly March, February, April, and May, those are the period egusi get expensive. So if you're selling it at that time, you're getting double interest.
Okay. So that 92,000, if you're selling it about now, you make like how much interest?
You make interest of 60,000.
Okay. But at that time, you should be making
You'll be
more
making
than 90.
Yes, you'll be making up to 90,000 naira interest.
Or
That is
even
double
more,
interest.
maybe.
Or even more.
This Nigeria, with the situation of things right now,
Yes,
might
like
even be more.
like I had a case where I farmed last year and it was 750. Despite the fact that even my expenses, that beans, mudu of beans expenses in my farm would have been around 250 naira. 250 naira. Now selling it for 750 naira, you can see that if the gain is even triple.
Yes. That was a close game.
So
Okay.
this is what some people don't look at. Some people are not patient in farming. Some people go into farming with much expectation.
And you were trying to talk about your pig farm.
Yes.
Let's hear you.
Yes, this is what I do in pig farming. I raise pigs. After buying the piglet, that is the young pigs, I have numbers that will contain my store, my warehouse for pigs. Now, the pigs eat like the pigs eat like 4 times a day, except you limit the pigs. It's possible to limit the pigs from eating too much food, because by the time they are eating too much food, they will develop there's a sickness that usually comes, and it's usually not too good for pigs to eat up to 4 times a day, but it's good for them to eat like 3 times a day when you have the availability of
If they eat
food.
4 times, what happens?
Yes, there is a sickness that the doctor usually come to treat.
Too much food.
Too much food is not good for the pigs. And the pigs themselves, like the adult pigs, they are very intelligent. You can imagine that if you are storing pigs here now, pigs will choose by itself. The pig will choose where to be sleeping, where to be urinating and defecating. It will equally choose where to be like a sitting room for the pig. Most people don't know that pigs are this intelligent until you realize them. So what we do these days, we buy the food, we introduce the food to them by ourselves. If they are eating in the morning, we give them the food in the morning. They will finish the food that morning, except for the water they will be drinking. And again, what we do again, we will come back to introduce another food to them during the daytime, like noon time. In the evening, we will introduce another section of the food for them. Now, most people, the meat states, some farmers too, they will go to market, they will see young piglet, very beautiful piglet. They will use their whole capital and buy the pigs. Not minding that those pigs are coming to be under their care until they grow. By the time you use your whole capital and buy those pigs, now the pigs will be demanding for their daily food, and you will have no money to feed them. By the time you are unable to feed them, they will fall sick and die. Then people will come back again and say farming is not profitable.
It's their experience now.
Do you understand?
Yes, I
This
do.
is what happened, and it's usually not good like that.
Okay, so in essence, you are saying there's so much profit in pig farm.
A lot of profit.
Can you estimate for us? Like,
Okay.
when
Last
you
time,
start? Okay.
let me start from last year, the one I did last year. Pigs grow in 6 months. Right? If you're rearing pigs and you give them adequate food, they grow in 6 months. So now, when you get the young pigs, you bring them to the store, you start feeding them. Let's assume you're going for 30 pigs. If you're going for 30 pigs, with this current economy situation, I will advise you to have up to 150,000 naira. Yes, the reason is because the young 30 pigs you're going to get, the money may be up to 80,000. Now, there is advantages in rearing pigs. Some of the advantages are that they eat peeled yam. All this yam that people peel to make food. So I easily go to restaurants, get those one they are going to throw them away. I will get them gathered together and
So
bring
their
them to my
food
pigs.
is
It's their food.
accessible.
Yes, very accessible. But you need transport. You need to be going from place to place to gather the food.
But even
So-
if you were going to buy it somewhere, you would have still transported.
You would have still transported.
And of course, that yam peel would be cheaper, I believe, than
Yes, very well. And there is one of those things that make pig very healthy. Those yam peels and the cassava. These things they use in doing apple cassava packs.
Okay.
Yes, when we get those things, we join them together and give to the pigs. They eat and they become fat. So what I advise people is that if you have up to 150,000 naira as a capital, go for 30 pigs or 20 pigs. If you're not doing anything at all, there are some of us like me. I do other things. I have egusi in store. Once my money get finished, I'll remove one bag of egusi and sell them to have another money to continue from the livestock. If you're not doing anything at all, you have 150,000. Don't go and buy 30 pigs. You can go and get like 10 pigs. By the time you have 10 pigs, you will manage that 150,000 in 6-month period until the 10 pigs have grown up. Then you sell them.
At what rate?
Like if you're able to get each pig now for 15,000, 20,000, that is the young pig, the piglet. If you can get each one for 20,000 naira, by the time it is fully grown up, the price is going for about 46, 50,000 naira
For one.
for one.
Okay, and that 150 you are saying we should invest is the 15,000 you are buying. Is it inside? It's not included.
Is included
Okay.
if you're going for 10 pieces.
Okay.
So maybe you possibly get you get like
No, 15
pigs
piglets. That would be
for 10. That would be
150.
150 there.
So it's not included.
It's
The
not
150 is what you use in taking care of.
taking care of the pigs.
Okay, so you are using 150 to buy 15
Yes.
before you now use another 150 to
To take care of the pigs. Do you
Okay,
understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, by the time you're selling them out, it is assumed that you bought each pig for 20,000 naira and you're using 15,000 naira to take care of it for 6-month interval. Now, if you're taking care of a pig for 15,000 naira and the initial price you use in buying it is 20,000 naira, so 20,000 plus 15,000 is 35,000 naira. So if you're selling it for 50,000 naira, 60,000 naira, there you have your interest.
You have your interest, yes.
And cases like this, like I don't dwell in 20 pigs. What I do is to get much number, to be able to realize much interest. And that is why I'm better than some of you who works in with federal government or parastatals. Do you know why I'm better than you? My transport money goes into my business as my expenses. No, they are paying you 100,000 naira in a month as your salary. Your transport money is from that 100,000 naira. Your food, the way you look is from that money. So you end up having just 10,000 naira in your account as your savings. That is where I'm better than you.
So are you saying we should abandon our jobs and come and join you in the farm?
No, I'm not saying that you should abandon the job because
Okay.
we must run government. But I'm saying that you can still be in agriculture while you work.
Okay.
Yes.
We should all venture into agriculture in one way or the
In
other.
one way or the other. You can employ.
Okay.
You can employ. You have your capital, you employ somebody, be paying the person, or deal with the person on percentage basis. Tell the person that I have up to 100 pigs. If you can take care of these 100 pigs for me, I will be the one producing the resources. If you can be there to take care of the 100 pigs, I will give you 10 when I'm selling them. And the person will be committed to doing the job.
If you're just joining us, it's still Farming Forum on SRTV Abuja, and our guest is Mr. Samuel Yakubu, who is a farmer who is into livestock and mixed cropping. We are talking about the business of farming in today's Nigeria. If I look at the way you've been talking, one would think that it's a very smooth ride and it's you are enjoying it. Are you saying there is no disadvantage, or there is, because you even said you can't lose?
I can't lose.
So there is no negative thing when it comes to farming.
Yes, there are disadvantages. We call them challenges.
Yeah,
Yes,
because I would have said,
there are challenges.
okay,
But we handle challenges with our positive mindset. Like I said before, in the case of insecurity, it's everywhere. Even in your federal government job, insecurity has affected it too, not just farming, isn't it?
yes, sir,
Insecurity is the nature of every business in Nigeria,
today.
and it has affected farming too. Like some people who were, let me go back to the villages where we have peasant farmers, people who produce for eating alone. Some of them hardly go to farm because they they were used to going to farm alone to farm and come back home because they are farming for eating. They are not farming to sell as a business. No, they are farming for their family consumption alone. So most of these people are afraid of going to farm now because if they go farm alone, they will be kidnapped by the terrorists. So challenges are coming in through this means too. But in my own case, that I'm a business farmer, I organize group of people to farm for me. And as a matter of fact, I have tractors that farm for me. So I don't get that area of insecurity has not really affected me much.
Where's your farm?
I have a farm around Aso. I have another one in Kuje, and I have another one in Lube. So I am seeing that insecurity as a challenge. But to positive people like us who have taken it upon themselves that we must farm as a business is a challenge, but it has not stopped us. And again, another challenge is this: the increased rate in everything you're buying in the market. Like 2 years ago, I wasn't rearing pigs, I was rearing chicken and fish. I do fish farming. So what happened is I started realizing lower interest as a result of the expensive nature of the food that I was buying. As I speak with you, the food for chicken per bag now is 9,000. And chicken eats, they eat every minute. So I am seeing it difficult. I decided to change into pig farming because I can easily go for cheap food. But if I'm rearing chicken, I do go for an expensive food, and they cannot eat any other food apart from the food you buy from the market. And those foods has been affected by dollar rate. Our economy is falling and naira is not valued. Everything keeps getting higher. So by the time I'm buying food at expensive rates, I don't get much interest. So I decided to leave that of production of chicken and come back to agriculture and the rearing of pigs. But for the fact that I was not getting much interest, I did not lose. And that is why I keep telling people that you don't lose while you are farming. Misunderstand?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then, are you getting any support from government? Any support? Because we hear loans and grants and the rest for farmers. Any support of any form from government?
I have never had any support from government.
What did you make attempts?
I've applied like 5 different occasions. I've written to federal government, the Ministry of Agriculture. I've written to them on the need to reach out to us. Farming in FCT Abuja here, there is no farmer that can attest to it that was supported from the federal government that I know. On personal basis, I've applied to federal government to support me with law that I can actually sell out my goods and pay back. And I have not been had no government parastatal. Though we do hear from the TV. Last year we had Mr. President come up to TV to tell us that he reimbursed farmers, the money was allocated, resources were generated to farmers. We didn't see them. We did not see any. As I speak with you, my applications are still in the Ministry of Agriculture for long.
But maybe some people were able to access.
But I have not seen the person I know.
And you are here in Abuja now. You know, sometimes some of these things, they go to the rural places, local governments.
We have local government in FCT.
It's true that I know, but I don't know well, but I'm just saying maybe they go to some of these states and the rest.
In regards to federal government assistance to farmers in Nigeria, let me put it to our leaders. I am not here to talk about the leaders who are there to siphon our money, but I want to advise them on how to assist farmers. Our leaders have done their best by disposing money that expected to be allocated to farmers, but it's very obvious money don't get to farmers. Maybe as the result of the processes in which that money is being disposed. I want to advise our leaders like this. It's not by carrying or getting thousands of farmers involved. If you have up to, let's assume that in FCT we have up to 2,000 farmers, and you can get to 500 farmers personally, directly to you, being the leader, being their representative in federal government. If you can get direct contact to up to 500 or 200 farmers out of the 2,000 farmers, I think those people will liberate other farmers. And that is the only way to get to the farmers. You cannot come and give, or let's assume federal government disposes 1 million naira to get to the farmers in FCT, and then through processes and processes and processes, at the end, it's 200,000 naira that got to the farmers. And in the farmer, I am among the 2,000 farmers in FCT, and you're giving us 200,000 to share. You understand what I'm saying? So maybe it is 500 naira that will get to me. So what will happen to me if I have 500 naira as a support from federal government? That is why I'm advising leaders that it is better to work with few number of the people you can assess. By the time you are able to touch them, you know that the 500 you have touched today are not the 500 you will touch next year. So by the time you're supporting a group of farmers again next year, there are going to be other different people. By so doing, the people you have supported this year, you'll be surprised at the level you will see them next 3 years.
Then another thing I want to ask you for the government, you're talking about you in the farming, where you advise that we all should farm.
Yes.
What about the government? Do you think they should join us in the farming?
Yes. The federal government should join us in the farming because we have a situation at hand now that need an urgent attention. That situation is that our economy is falling. Naira has no value in the international market because we don't have anything to present to foreign people that this is what we can produce. Oil is no longer keeping that sector. We need agriculture back. And the only way we'll get it right is when federal government come back to agriculture. Individually, we cannot get it right because individual sector cannot produce enough to feed us, to our own consumption and still sell out. And the only way Naira will regain value at the international market is when we are able to sell out these farm products. Because these farm products are most of the things we can easily go back to and get the result immediately. And now, how do federal government come back? Like in my own area, I'm rearing pigs. Maybe I'm rearing pigs to the consumption of some states in Nigeria. People are coming from Kaduna, people are coming from Kogi State, people are coming from Plateau State, Benue State to buy pigs from me. Now, maybe I can only be able to farm to the level that I can produce to those states that I just mentioned now. If federal government come in, they will not say, oh, okay, if this person can sell pigs, Chinese people are looking for pigs. Why don't we farm millions of pigs? So Chinese people will be coming to take these pigs from us. By the time Chinese people are coming to take pigs from us, we are not selling them on Naira. Naira is beginning to do international transactions. Now, when our Mr. President is going for UN meeting, we have a case file to go and present to United Nations that, look, we are exporting pigs to Chinese people. This is the area I'm looking at it from. That it is important for federal government to come back to agriculture. If government have been allocating resources to farmers and the result is not forthcoming, why don't you have a sector? We already have Minister of Agriculture. Let us come back to farming.
People have parastatals.
We have parastatals. that can handle it. We have tractors. We have people, able graduates in agriculture that can handle those livestock or production of crops. And the soil is available. It's a natural resource from God. Most of this European world that we are borrowing from them, we have a case where dollar is higher than a naira. We even, I saw it last time, they said dollar is up to 700 naira. That dollar is from United States of America. Their natural resources, they don't have more than 20 natural resources in their country. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, we have more than 100 natural resources. Hi, from my research, I can proudly tell you that we have up to 156 natural resources in Nigeria, and they are from soil. Soil. We are blessed with the soil. So why don't we? I'm advising the federal government to come back to the production from the soil, because we are blessed from this soil. When we were doing it, naira was valued at the international market, but now it's not like that. But that is my statement.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I will want one final word for you. A word for Nigerians as a whole. You have already said we should go back to farming, but I just want you to say something, put in one word concerning farming, Nigeria, and federal government of Nigeria also. Every individual, just talk to us, because I see that you really want us to go into this farming thing. You know that you've had experience, and you know that there's so much in it, and you want us to be part of it. So, one final word.
Okay. Let me start from. Sorry, I'll have to start from our leaders. We cannot do without our leaders, because they direct us on possible development, on how they see best that the economy can develop. I will start from our leaders. If you have opportunity of you're occupying any position from the government, resources have been generated to you to sponsor agriculture. Please, I want a practical measures to be taken from our leaders, not paper or messages. Practical measures. Our leaders should come out to the field. They should follow up whatever allocation they must have allocated to the Ministry of Agriculture. They should do follow-up programs. By so doing, we will now realize that these things will be unpractical measures. But by the time you're sending messages and there are no follow-up programs, somebody will go and sit down and write paper for you. They will come and present file to you. You start reading. You say you're doing fine. But on practical basis, it's actually not done. But by the time our leaders begin to organize a follow-up programs, they will now see that these people that I'm allocating money to them, they are actually doing what I asked them to do. This is as for the leader. And for the farmers too, some of us who have it in mind, and I know some people who knows what I am enjoying now, have it in mind to resume farming. Some of us who have it in mind, start up something. You must not start with billions. You must not start with 100,000. You can start, if you want to go into livestock, you can start rearing just single. You start with single, then from that single, you become two, maybe after 3 months or 6 months thereabout, you become three. Then by so doing, in the next 5 years, we have many. That is, I think it will go a long way in helping our economy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Mr. Samuel Yakubu, for finding time to be with us on the show today. Listeners, that's the much we can take on the show this afternoon, and it's Farming Forum on SRTV Abuja. We've been discussing the business of farming in Nigeria today, and Mr. Samuel Yakubu has been our resource person who has really taken time to talk to us on the fact that we all need to go back to the land. We all need to go back to farm, be it poultry, fishery, whatever it is, we all need to go back to farming, and it is going to boost our economy, because as of today, we know that the economy of Nigeria is not favorable in any way. Well, that's the much you can take on the show today. See you same time, same station.
Hooray! The next President Show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next